Wow. Hope that wasn't too much of a train wreck there. For some reason, and I'm not sure what it is, I always have the roughest time with the STR, the shaved, and then the T is the toasting. I always forget toasting for some reason, but the recharred I'll get, so it always throws me off every time I do that. But I guess that's the price you pay for doing live videos. We just did a little short review of the Kilchoman STR Cask Matured, and I was just commenting how I butchered the name. Hey, DHS, good to see you. Hopefully that wasn't too much of a train wreck. Hey, Jason, good to see you as well. Oh my, I don't know what it is. Sometimes when I get a combination of a couple words, it doesn't happen too often, but that just choked me up a little bit. But the hopefully being live, people will understand. It's just a nice quick review on a whiskey. But oh, okay, you're enjoying last week's review too. Cool, that's good. And the malt user, that's Rabbit. Good to see you, man. Bought another 15-year Kilchoman tonight. How did you find it? I haven't really looked because they're so darn expensive compared to some other whiskeys, but these tariffs, man, are really, really murder right now. I hope they come to an end soon. I'm just going to keep it at that. It's like just depressing when you have to deal with all the. I mean, 180. It doesn't seem, I guess, because that is a high caliber dram. It's funny. I think if it was a little more well known, they'd be charging like 250 to 300 for that bottle. That's how good it is. Yeah, Rabbit, it's not easy. Only reason I had one of the Olorosos is because I've got a buddy at a local store near me that called me up before he even put it out for availability and was like, "Hey, you're interested in this one? I've got the Kilchoman 15 Oloroso and I've got the Springbank 15 rum cask," and I was like, 180 and 190. It's like, man, those are on the high end, but I'm like, I'll never see these again, so I might as well take an opportunity to snag them when I get a chance. Just on the shelves here, turn out they're going 400 on secondary. Oh my goodness, $400. Oh my, that's a bit much. What did you guys think of the Kilchoman? I'm sorry, I'm calling this Kilchoman STR Cask Matured. God, I hope I didn't call it Kilchoman during the review. It's such a close name in the same, well, not the same region, but a nearby region. So I hope I didn't cross them tonight. That would be my luck. I'm seeing Springbank single cask 19 and 20 years being traded for them. Yeah, I can imagine. That's yeah, I think I saw last time I saw the single. I mean, it was a while back, but the single cask sherry Springbank, I think it was a 20 to 24. I think it was surprisingly only like 280 or 290, because the 19-year usually goes for that price. I probably should have snagged it while I had a chance. I see nearly no Kilchoman here, just the core. Wow. When you say core, are you talking about like Moncure Bay, Loch Gorm, and maybe 100% Island? That's it? Is that when you think of the core? Is that Kilchoman's basic? I'm assuming that's kind of the only ones they usually probably have out there. Jason says, just got a sample of this yesterday. Haven't gotten to it yet. Oh, a sample of the STR? Well, are you going to open it up now, hopefully? Hopefully the notes made sense to you guys when I just, popped a big pour and went at it. It's amazing how like cinnamony, brown sugary, sweet the spice is on the nose. But the palate is a little more on the savory end. It's a little more Oloroso-esque, I guess is the way to say it. They didn't use any Oloroso. This is all red wine hogsheads. So the red wine, I guess, is where I'm getting that sherry-like quality from. Maybe tannins. Here we go. They might still have some. Wow, okay. Potomac Wines and Spirits. Okay, yeah, they are pretty good about the stock and knowing they're probably one of the best DC places if you're in DC um, where to shop because they actually do. Last time I was there, they had a local barley, which really surprised me. It was a Springbank, and they don't overcharge there. Thankfully, they keep it about decent market rate, so they don't try to screw you like some of these. There's this wine store. I won't say the name. It's a guy. I can't remember the proper name. I think it's an Indian name, possibly. It's not Benny's, but it's something like Benny's. It's not the one in Chicago. It's a different name, like Benny something or other, and it was in DC. And I remember going in, and they had some really nice selection. But DC is notorious for like having a great way to get things in, but charging like the secondary triple market rate for it. It's crazy, like $400 for like an Ardbeg Ardbog or something like that. I mean, that's just insane. Or you know, 500 for the Supernova 2012 or something. I mean, I guess it's all relative to what you think it's worth, but to me, once you get past like 300 to 350 for some of these non-age statement secondary bottlings, that's when I have to draw a line and be like, that's too much. If it's, I would only go farther than that if it has like a 19 plus year age statement, like the Trevon and like Ardbeg's 19-year-old they recently released. Did snag one of those, haven't opened it yet, saving that for a special occasion, hopefully sometime soon. The Snag, yeah, 100% I love seeing, but I had to go out of state for that. Wow, that's really sad that you got to go out of state to get like a lot of these. I'm really spoiled when it comes to the local selection for Kilchoman. That my favorite. Well, I do have to go a half hour to get there, so it isn't like local, but it's in the same state at least. So I'm not going too crazy, but I do have a lead for Ardbeg Black committee release, possibly Thursday. I might have an option. If I play my cards right, I might have an option. And if I find it, I will definitely do that right away. Instant review, no questions asked. Pop that sucker. Fastest cork you'll ever see. Not drinking tonight, Jason said. That's cool. I know how that goes, man. I didn't have one. I had a dry day yesterday, and the day before I was getting kind of on the heavier end of the old tipping the glass. So I kind of tried to mellow it down to it like just a few days a week instead of every day. Even at 2 grams, it's like sugar for me adds up, and I got to be careful with that. So you know how that goes. Bought a local barley 10 tonight. Wow. Oh, for Malta Man Cave. That's Keith. Hopefully he gets a chance to stop by soon. He, I saw he did. I think he did a review on this recently. I just commented on a review. It was the Scotch for Dummies did one recently on this guy. Check it out if you haven't already. And I think Keith might have took a look at this with his buddy. I can't remember his name, and he's going to hate me for it probably. But he's got a sidekick, and he's not really very vocal on the after pages, like the chats for other people. So I don't really talk to him. That's the only reason I don't know his name. Hey. Whiskey Scout. I'm assuming that's Robert or Dave. Which one's Robert? Which one's Dave? Who's on first? Keith just did that. Oh, that's right. The Kilchoman 15. I got them mixed up. Yeah, the Scotch for Dummies were the ones that just did this guy here. And this is a very dividing dram. It's very divided with my review. It's like the nose was like instantly the best aspect of the dram. I mean, it's complex on the nose right off the bat without even adding a little drop of water. And well balanced, sweet, savory, spicy. It's all there. So even some sour, but not like bad sour, like good balance. And on the palate's good. It is very, and I'll agree with Drew. He was talking about how really one-dimensional it is. And that's the thing. I mean, sometimes one-dimensionality, dimensionality, is that a word? Dimensionlessness is it can be looked at to me in a bad and a good way, positive and negative. The bad side, of course, is it might not seem as interesting. But the good thing is, if you like what you're getting, and I do like this taste, I really love their profile, their consistency on what they deliver. Quality product every damn time. Even with the port cask, which everybody screws up for some damn reason, it drives me nuts. Lafroig is like one of the very few Isla distilleries that I think that can do a port cask justice. Springbank is like the only Campbelltown one. Everything else has just been really miss. I don't like the Glendronach ones that much for port cask. I didn't like the Kilchoman one. I didn't like, man, there's been a few recently. I'm trying to remember some of the other ones. I did like the Springbank one. I did like the Lafroig one, though. So if you're looking for port casks, definitely do your homework, because that is the toughest one, I think, to get right. Another dividing dram for these guys I've noticed is the Sauternes. Personally, I really love the Sauternes cask, but it is one similar as far as the one-dimensional aspect of it. It's not extremely complex, but it satisfies all the check boxes. It tickles all the ivories in the right places at the right time. It's more than sufficient, because sufficient doesn't sound like a great word when you're describing something. You have to embellish it a little bit, but it's not over the top. It's not something that, and you don't expect it, because you're going to spend $300 or $400 for an over the top whiskey. This one, I don't usually get into price on reviews. This one I've heard runs, 110 to 120. That's about what I think I did 110 on mine. It's been a while since I bought it, as you can tell. I've been working at it off and on for a while. But, I'm not sure if the prices have already gone up for this one because of the tariffs and stuff, but if it's still sitting at 110, I think it's reasonable. I don't think it's overpriced. It's at the limit, though. I don't think they could squeeze another penny out of it. Then I think you're treading, some thin water there. But for what it is, do I think it's as complex and up there with an Ugadal? No. But do I think it's got the same quality when it comes, minus the complexity, but just talking pure taste? Yes, this is something I could pour and I could sip on. If I was doing a daily dram like I used to, this would be an easy one. 50%, you don't really have to screw around with it. And the cool thing about this whiskey to me is that if you do want to take more time, if you do want to get your dropper out and have a little fun with it, you can definitely do that, because I got definitely different notes, more profound with that drop of water. So there you go. Sorry to go on my soapbox there for a while, but I thought I'd get some of that out there. Just catching up on the comments. Dave's the one that doesn't need to be remembered. You're so nice, DHS. Well, he paid me back. Oh, gosh. Am I crazy not to be a fan of the 100% Isla? No, I don't think you're crazy, because I'm not a fan of the 100% Isla either, DHS. I forgot to mention that one. I do like the Macure Bay, but the 100% Isla to me is a little too floral-esque. It's not as well balanced to me like the Macure Bay one is. But if you are like a huge Glenkinchie fan or a Dalwhinnie fan, you're going to be all over the Kilchoman 100% Isla. In my opinion, that's what they're shooting for. That type of dram. What do you think, DHS, as far as that rationale comparison? That's the closest thing I could think of to that whiskey. And I'm not a huge fan of Glenkinchie, and some people love it, and that's okay. It's just not my personal thing. I do like the Dalwhinnie 15, though. If I'm going to pick a real light Highland, very light, but man, would it be good to be cruising around on a yacht, sipping like some Dalwhinnie 15, listening to Southern Cross by, Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Young. There you go. Actually, Young wasn't in that song. It was just Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Never mind. But you get the idea. Hey, Trooper, good to see you, man. How's Louisiana? Oh man, I hope none of you guys were near the tornadoes in Nashville. Man, that was a horrible deal, and I feel bad for those guys. Didn't get as many in Kentucky when I lived there. We had a tornado right before I was born in '74, and I was born in '75. But there was a tornado in '74. I remember that was talked about for years, but I don't remember any other ones until I used to live in Oklahoma for a while. And there was tornadoes every other day. I think I had 7 in one day there, so it was a complete different animal. Tip of the night: if you love Octomore, get a 10.4. It's the most raw peated cask out there. I will definitely note that. And I haven't forgot you, DHS, about the Highland Park 25 cask strength. I have put a feeler into Tom, and this has been a couple days ago, and I haven't heard back from him yet. I did send him a reminder today, so hopefully I'll get some recon on that and be able to give you at least an idea if it's even a possibility. No tornadoes, but got a lot of rain down there. I hear you, man. Rabbit says I was able to get a bottle of Moncure Bay at cask strength. Yeah, if you have not had that, I definitely would also recommend that being a really, really good one. The cask strength is definitely a notch up, kind of like with the Glenlivet Nundura 16 first fill versus just the first fill. The 16 years makes a huge difference with the quality. It's insane. So definitely always, especially with whiskey, always read the fine print. That's my opinion. Because you can never, be too sure. I want to say it was 2 years old. What was this? I'm going back to maybe he's talking about the 100% Isla. Wow. It can't be 2, though, I would think, because they'd have to call it a spirit. If it's not at least 3 years old, DHS, that's where you probably heard of the new distillery called Ardmaturin. They have a really good spirit bottle out that's only like, I think, the way they did is they have some make that's 1 to 2 years, but they put it in with some older stuff, but they don't have a whole lot of older stuff to do. So even with that, though, Scotch law says they have to call it a spirit, not a Scotch, because it's not at least 3 years old. That's my understanding. Someone correct me if I'm losing my mind, but I'm pretty sure that's the deal. Haven't had a Glenkinchie, so I can't comment. Yeah, if you don't like the 100% Isla, don't even bother with the Glenkinchie 12. I can't speak for the Distiller's Edition and some of the older stuff that they have, but the basic Glenkinchie 12, you're going to be thinking, yeah, this is a floral, very light. It's a whimsy, lavender, jasmine, hay straw, that type of thing. But I definitely don't look for those types of qualities in a whiskey. 100% Isle Edition I had was about 2 years old. Oh, you go, not 2 year old. Oh, I was gonna say, I was confused. I was like, what in the world? Sorry about that, man. That's my fault for misunderstanding. That would be a mess. Worth every penny for the Moncure Bay cask strength for $70 for Ace. Yeah, that is a great deal. They are good for the shipping. I'm trying to remember what I got from them before. It was a Lafroy Care. Just I think it might have been a Madeira, maybe. I think I got the Madeira, but I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've messed with them. But I should take a look at their list again, see if there's anything that stands out. Because yeah, Jason's right. They thankfully, there's been a lot of every place I've tried, just even if I was kind of like, I don't know how this is going to work, it's always arrived unscathed. It's sold out. Wow. Ace also has nice Old Pulteney single cask, 13 for 100. Wow, that's outstanding for 13 single cask. I got that OP pick from them recently. Yeah, that's nice of you. I'll instead of calling you Rabbit, I'll just say Malt Muser to make it easier. Malt Muser. That's nice of you to do the that's going to be a hard one to find probably, because that Moncure Bay cask strength was a very popular one from what I remember when it was first dropped. Anybody else drinking the STR tonight? I'm just curious if anybody else is sipping on it. Stranahan's pick. Yeah. To be honest, giving up, I dropped 2,000 on Whisky. Oh my goodness, a lot of it is coming back to me as for friends. Oh, okay. What do you mean like 2,000 on different bottles or 2,000 like on one bottle? Because that would have to be like a Lagavulin 25 or some crazy. Got to stop buying everything I see. Yeah. I take it that you're not married, DHS. And if you are, you probably won't be too much longer. I can get you a sample of the microwaves. Oh no, that's okay, man. I was lucky enough to have it at an extravaganza or like a wine a tasting, a whiskey tasting. And do remember it was very good. So no, I appreciate it. I think you should definitely, if you're going to share any wealth, share it with the folks that have not had a chance to sip on that. A glass of the Kilchoman 8 cask strength. Love the funk. Yeah. Was it the Trooper? There's two different versions. The older one that I have, which is the one back here, is the bourbon cask. They have a brand new dropped sherry version that is from 2019. This one though is this older one. I think it's from 2014 or 15, and that one's a bourbon. Do you remember which one it was? Alfaldo, thanks for joining us, man. He says, I tried the Leche 13 Amontillado. Love that stuff. That sounds awesome. I have never had that. I do have Leche 18, which I'm trying to go off memory what the cask was. It's been so long ago and it's so far away I can't see it, but it's the standard Leche 18. I want to say it's port, but don't quote me on it. I have had an 18 port. If it's not that specific one, I had another one that was also, I think, either 18 or 21, and it was a port cask. And I've had the Leche 10 is a classic, lovely whiskey. Tobermory is the actual distillery, but kind of like Springbank is to Hazelburn, Tobermory is to Leche for the repeated stuff, if you guys didn't know. 5 bottles. Wow, of Octomore 10.4, $200-$300 bourbon. This is the lost profit. Wow, those better be damn good, man, for bourbon. LB10, local barley, and Kilchoman 15 Blanton's. Wow, you have had, man. Going back to Leche 13 Amontillado, I'll do like a Amontillado cask, like the Lafroiga Carriages 2014. Amontillado cask was outstanding, one of the best. And I'm trying to think if that Bunnahabhain 13, that's Marsala, never mind. I'm trying to think of another Amontillado one that I've had recently that really shined. I think, I want to say Bunnahabhain has one, but I can't remember which one it was. And White Free, thank goodness. I hear you there, man. That sometimes it's tough, and sometimes it's not. It just depends. But thankfully, my wife is very understanding. But I do have limits. So love Leche 10, such a solid intro, Pete, with complexity. Yeah. For a 10-year-old, man, it's the only shame about the Leche 10 is its availability. The cost point is great. The taste is great. The bottling's great. The consistency is great. Never had a bad one. Had it many times, and very underrated whiskey of probably top 3 whiskey of all time underrated. It is probably Leche 10. You guys have really come up with a good point. I know Fuquig out in Vancouver is a huge Leche 10 fan. His only issue is he has a hell of a time finding it, or at least he did a few years ago when I started talking to him. I remember that being something that I was trying to think of a way to get him some, but he's in Canada and customs and all that. You don't want to be doing that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping he has another avenue or a way of doing it, but I don't know. Sweeter, simpler are Big 10 for me. Yeah. Yeah, that's ooh. We got 2 of the Stilchel's Reserves. Oh, 235. Super happy. It's one of my favorites. And if DHS, if you ever have an extra one of those, definitely hold on one for me too, please, because that would be one that I've never seen, I've never tried, but I do understand and appreciate the practical brilliance of that whiskey. It's on my like unicorn list. So yeah, man. Oh, a Blackadder Lachake 16 for 180 today. Worth it. I would say since Blackadder is notably a good independent bottler, from what I've heard, I haven't had a lot of them myself, but I've heard good things. And Lachake being a good, the distillery, 16 years. It definitely does not hurt to ask for a sample, even for a pricey independent bottling. They sometimes get 2 or 3 of these things at one time, even if they're high end. So I would ask for a sample, and if you don't blink and you come up to them and then like, hey, I'm interested in specifically in this bottle, and I definitely want to try it before I buy it. I think that they would, give you a sip. They typically, especially if you have a relationship with them. The Peat Monster has Lachake. Oh, the blend, Faldo, is that what you're referring to? That makes sense. Maybe that's why it's so good. Lachake probably, and they might throw. I don't know the recipe. I have to look that one up, but it makes sense. I wouldn't be surprised. I thought that might be Ardbeg in there too, but nah, that's a no name. The first release is the Ardbeg that I'm thinking of, the no name. But yeah, Peat Monster being Lachake, that makes sense. Never tried the Springbank Local 9. I had the I want to say I had the 10, and I have not tried another version of it. Usually, when I get my hands on one of the one-offs like the Springbank Green, or the local barley, or the Burgundy, or the Bourbon Wood, or whatever the type is, usually once I get one of them, I go on to something else. But if someone had an offering or tasting, or I had a way to get my hands on it, I'd be all over it. Mm. To pour a little more. Wow, that's a good one. Yeah, 1 drop of water is all you really need to really bring out the nice, like there's more of a root beer, the bigger mouth bigger mouth gulp, I should say. Got a bit more of root beer sassafras. That's really good. Darn. I'm glad I gave it a 3.75, because I was about to give it a 3.5, and I thought, nah, it's better than that. It's definitely better than the 3.5. Definitely well above average. And that's what I love about Kilchoman. Whenever I get a bottle, I'm definitely never, I don't think, ever going to get a C or below bottle. I don't think it's going to happen. Because even with the Port Cask Matured, I would give that one probably about a 3.25. But that's probably, and maybe the Macure, not the Macure, but the Isla 100%, I might also give like a 3.25. But those are the only 2 bottles I can think of that were closely, even remotely close to a 3, and definitely nothing below that so far. I haven't tried the Cool Point or the Saligo Bay. There's a couple other ones. There's this French one I heard recently I never heard of before, but it's a legitimate release. It starts with a C. I can't remember the name of it, but I might get my hands on that one too. But like Pokemon, you got to collect all of these damn things. I'm trying to think of all the other. I think I've had pretty much all the other types of offerings, but not quite sure. Hey, Swami, good to see you, man. Having the STR. What was your take on the STR, Swami? If you don't mind telling me a little bit about what you thought. I'm just curious. It's grown on me. At first, I was kind of like, complexity wasn't there, but with a couple of drops of water, it really, I think, made it more complex. It was already great taste out of the gate. Didn't really have any complaints other than maybe the finish being a little dry, but it's very long. It was one of the longest finishes next to like a Lagavulin 16 I've had in a while. Um, Never had this STR. Well, shit, Swami. the That's what I hate about you guys having to deal with the state-run stores that have the really abysmal selection. That just sucks. Do you have any better ways of getting things from Alberta, Swami, or is it still kind of rough out there? Local Nut is not as good as the 10, but it's nice. A bit more salty and bourbon forward. Okay, DHS. Well, I'm glad I didn't take the gamble because that bottle is never cheap. I think the cheapest I've ever seen any local barley was like 160 or 170, and even at that price, I thought it was a little much for such a young whiskey. But it is specialized. The process is specialized, so I guess I'll give them that maybe. But I'm not sure if the price is justified there. Hey, Lost Cause, good to see you, man. Glad you were able to drop by. Oh, you're gonna get a Harley for Mrs. Swami. Don't let her get away, man. Brent, I guess that's Lost Cause. I don't know anyone's real name, so Denver. Wow, nice. How's the weather? Is it snowy? DHS says, I think I paid $135 for the 9 local barley. Wow, I wasn't thrilled. They are on the shelf for $170 and the 910 right now here. Yeah, that's about what I see. I think them typically go for, which is really a bit much. I mean, it's that process, I guess, that's the only way I could justify spending that on a 9 to 10-year-old whiskey. Clear and cool. Congratulations on that, man, because usually Denver is like really like windy or really snowy or rainy or something's going on. Yeah, so I mean, when you get a chance, look at that. I'm doing short reviews basically before the long live discussion. So just give it a quick whirl if you got it 5-10 minutes. I don't think I did. I usually don't go over more than 6 or 7 minutes on those little videos. So hopefully it'll give you an idea if it's worth the trip to get a special bottle. I think you'd like it if you do like the char. If you're a Ardbeg Grooves, the Ardbeg Grooves was something I think comparable. The Ardbeg Grooves is more sweeter and more fruitier, though. This has got more spice and more brown sugar, molasses, sassafras, root beer, that kind of notes. It's different, but the quality's there on both sides, I think. She has great taste. Yeah, she likes Harleys. There you go. Her insurance costs more than the bike. Oh, man. That's got to be rough. Anybody hear of anything new Kilchoman's doing? I know that I'm really excited about the Ardbeg Black coming out this week. Should get my hands, like I said, on that maybe this end of this week if I'm lucky. As far as Lafroig, they just did the Carriages Triple Wood for this year. Other than that, I'm not aware of any other specialized bottles coming from them. If anybody's got any new news about some new offerings, that would be awesome because I'm always looking for, Lagavulin had the Offerman edition. They had the 10 travel retail, which did not do so well from what I've heard. That was like the only Lagavulin that makes me nervous to try. The 8 solid, the 11, if I'm in the mood for it, I like it. The 12 is solid. The 16 is great. The Distiller's Edition I like. Haven't opened the Fishkill 18 yet, but that's on the to-do list at some point. But the never tried the 25 or 27 crazy $3,000 bottles, but the 10 is the one that I heard it was pretty rough. Hey, good to see you, Donna. What you sipping? Just out of curiosity. The 20 carats will have a red wine and port finish. Interesting. Do you know when they release it typically? I'm trying to remember. If I remember correctly, those guys are later, like in July or August, even on the carriages, if I remember right. Lost Causes having the Bunnahabhain 12, a great choice. That's you don't like the Bunnahabhain 12, or is it like a special version of it? Typically, I think it's a decent whiskey, just for a 12-year, under $100. I mean, it's not peated, but that's the only thing that. I mean, if you're a huge, peat fan, then yeah, June, July. That's what I was thinking. Just finished the STR recently. Good stuff. Yeah, I'm definitely happy with mine, and the deeper I get, the better it is. Oxidation didn't hurt it. It wasn't really needed. I thought it was good from the first pour, but a little dry for me. But other than that, I can't bitch really about anything. Maybe a little more complexity would have been nice, but the water brings that out with a couple drops, so I can't really complain too much with that. I gave it a 3.75 out of 5, 2.5 increments. Let's see. My last bin of 12 was pretty mid, but when I opened last week, it was a lot better. Oh, batch variations, possibly. Yeah. I have seen that with Bunnahabhain. I think on the 12, maybe. Don't quote me on it, but that might be the reason why I love the 12 that I had. I think I got lucky on my first bottle, and then my second one was kind of like not. It was good, but maybe not as good. But when you don't have it side by side, it's really hard to tell if it's a batch variation versus oxidation versus just what you had, to eat that day affecting your palate, that kind of stuff. Brook Lottie, Classic Lottie, blue bottle. That's a no-brainer there. I love it. For NAS, it's definitely a good pour, I think. Maybe it's the mini with a wine cast finish. Yeah, I've got a Marsala 13-year. Has a lot of marzipan almond aspects to it. I really like that. And I got it twice because I had it as a sample from the Scotch Test Dummies. And I liked it so much that I went and got my own bottle of it. So it goes to show samples of salsa are very beneficial to these businesses, because if I didn't try it and fall in love with it, I definitely wouldn't have went on my way to get a bottle of it. Yeah, but Scout, it's a 2020, and it's their first year driving a bike. It'll go down a lot. Yeah, next year. Hopefully that's true. I'm not sure. Do they do it? Do they always rate insurance every year? Is that how that works? Is it? I guess unless maybe if you pay like every 6 months policy. I don't know. Well, hopefully it works out for you. Working, no drinking, but did it buy out? I'm 16 at the store. Yeah, that's a good one. Do you know if it was the new purple bottle or the old gray bottle? I do have an old gray bottle that I really like. It's this one over here. That's the Lawnmower 16 that I've got, but it's like I think it's a little older than the purple bottle that they have out now. Very, very good, but very savory. Not very sweet. You got to be in the mood for like a Ethiopian sambusa, something spicy, savory, Indian curry. Oh my. Chickpeas and hummus and that kind of thing. It's crazy, but it is good. It's just a whole different type of scotch. The only thing close to it I can remember is like the Highland Park Fire, maybe, as far as something similar in quality and similar in profile. It's rated annually. Okay. And if the motorcycle brand is new because of theft. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. That's not bad. Well, hopefully it'll go down a lot after a year. Just tell her not to hit anything. Open up a black box gold trim banana 12. Oh, okay. Yeah, the only ones I've had are the old the gold rimmed bottles. I haven't had any of the Bunnahabhain 12 in the can bottles yet. Those are the newer ones. Hopefully the quality hasn't shifted, because they did do a whole new line. Well, not new line, but a new bottling change of advertising, I guess you could say. The still haven't seen an STR on the shelf. Wow. That's really sad that it's really tough to find in certain areas, but hopefully you get lucky. It is worth it, I think. If you can get it for 100, that's even better. I'm not sure if it's possible. Anything above 120, though, American, I would kind of do a little more homework and see if you could find a better price, because I think that's definitely at the top point of the pricing on this one. But it is good. I just adore the fact that they always do a really nice ABV, because it really makes a whiskey. It really makes or breaks it. 50%, it's perfect, because it's not going to blare someone that's getting into whiskey, or someone that's like a kind of an intermediate person that wants to get that can't handle like the 57 to 60% cask strength stuff, and doesn't want to play with water. But it also doesn't isn't weak enough where it's above that 48% threshold of being too weak. Once you get past 46, it's kind of like really a tough one, unless it's extremely well done. I have had a couple whiskeys that are 40% that actually are good, but it is rare that it happens that way. And usually, ironically, it takes a drop of water, even at 40%, to bring out complexities. Now, is the taste as good without the pop of a higher ABV? That's where that's a tough argument there to me. But oh wow, as Rosebank 21 for 5, that was 4 back in December. Wow, man. If I had an extra $500, I'd be all over that. But yeah, because Rosebank is a dead distillery that's going to be really, really tough to find. But I have a 2016 purple one and an unopened 15-year. Oh, I didn't even know they had it. Oh, that's right. That's what they had before. This one that I've got is the 15-year. Okay, that makes sense. Hopefully the profiles are similar to what I explained to you of what I got out of it, so you know what to be in for. Go that route. That Rosebank is tempting it. Yeah, I was thinking the same exact thing, Jason. That's not a bad deal, because Rosebank it might not be up as far as Brora or Port Ellen, but it's hanging right there with them. I mean, I don't know. 21, they're gonna ride from Montreal to Montana. That would be beautiful, man. I bet that'd be a fun ride. I'd be all over that if I was a bike rider. I wish I had a way to I should take a train from Montreal to Montana. I like to cruise, or if I had get a pontoon party barge and sail from Montreal to Montana, have a nice sack full of these of all different varieties in a little cooler, and a little Pink Floyd in the background playing the Animals album all the way through. What the hell else I don't need anything else besides that. That would be the best trip ever. Trans-Canada to Alberta. Yeah. And when you get to Alberta, buy all the whiskey you can buy, because I heard that's the place for Canadians to buy whiskey nowadays. I'm not sure if that's always true, but That is such a nice, smooth, but spicy enough to make it interesting palate. Yeah, I'm definitely happy with that, and I think that I can't wait to get the next one. Anybody know any new Kilchoman bottles coming out soon? Swami, have you had a chance to try a 10-year-old or a 12? I know they have 10-year-olds somewhat available. I'm not sure about Canada. You can't get them that I know of in America. It might be one of those distillery-only type things, but have you been able to find a 10-year-old or 12-year-old of a Kilchoman, and was it a lot better than the typical stuff like the Loch Gorm and the Senegs and the a Mark Bay and original cast strength kind of stuff, or is it or can it hang with with those offerings? I'm just curious how the age has either helped, or is their ABV go down? Is the if they do have a 10 or 12, is it like 48 or 46% instead of the 50 to 52 to 57 that we usually get with Kilchoman? I'm just curious. Yes, I've had the 10-year-old bourbon cast many times. How does it compare with the other ones that I've got up here? I've got the Sauternes, I've got the vintage 2008, the Loch Gorham, the red wine, the Snag, the Sauternes, and the I got a bourbon, a single cast strength back there as well. I don't know if that's a 10. I don't think it is. I think it might be a 7. I'll have to look. It's probably like an 8 or a 7. I would guess, because you would think they'd put a big fat number on it. It's a cast strength. Okay, I'll take a look and see what's your if you could. Hopefully you compared it to their core just as a comparison. Hey, Whiskey Ace, good to see you, man. How you been? Are you sipping on the STR tonight? I'm just curious. Oh, a sample of the Oloroso 12. I bet that's the die for. Swami, do you know if the ABVs go down as far as their age goes up, or are they good about keeping the 50 to 52% ABV on their older stuff now that they're getting to the 12 and up series? I'm just curious. What are you sipping tonight, Whiskey Ace? Just curious. Trying to think of. I think next week we're going to try to do the Springbank 15 rum cask. That is going to be interesting. I'm going to have a couple more sips of that during the week and get my feet a little more wet with it. That's what I've been trying to do with these reviews more, is getting towards the end of the bottle rather than always being near. I mean, I always try to make sure I'm past the neck pour, of course, but even past the neck pour, until you get down to like the label, it's really, tough to get all the little nuances out of this stuff. Been on a mezcal kick lately. Oh, they're all single cast, all cast strength. Okay, gotcha. Well, that's good then that they're all cast strength as it is already. So that's perfect. Don't follow Ricky and Bubbles too close. Uh-oh. Isn't that the Trailer Park Boys or something, if I remember correctly? I think I saw like one of those like a long time ago when it first came out, but I don't really remember anything about it other than that name Bubbles. It's just kind of funny. I should probably sit down and try to watch it. I wasn't even watching it. I think someone else was watching, and it was on in the background. And I just noticed, and I was like, "Who's this guy?" And someone told me about Bubbles, and I didn't really look into it after that. I should probably follow them because it sounds like it's still a popular show. But oh my, it's too good. Oh no. Here comes the political Swami. I can't believe Bernie's going to pull Texas. That is amazing, actually, because he's getting his ass kicked all over the South, as far as like North Carolina, South Carolina. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. I am going to turn on here in a little bit. The commie is coming on strong. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm just gonna put it that way. I try to stay out of the back and forth when it comes. Like, it's funny because I also do a lot of radio work, and with ham radio, there's two things you never talk about: politics and religion. Just don't even go there. And I try to do that as well with all aspects of my life. So there you go, if I can help it. Well, thanks for coming by, guys. It's been great as always. Time flies by when you're having fun, and I definitely think it's worth a sip. I really do, and especially if you can find it underneath the 120. It's only it's 14,500 bottles. So I mean, you could think of it as limited, but it's not really. It should be fairly easy to find at that number. I mean, if it was like 200 or 300 bottles, then I'd be like, ooh, you might have a a rough time. But with that type of volume, I think that if you did want it and did your little homework on the side, I think that you could pick it up. Klinsky. Oh man, I'm not sure about that. Okay, here we go. I had the Kilchoman STR in the 8th release, 100% olive barley. So far, really like the olive best. So far, it's like a Brooklight olive barley, but more bar farmyard and little peat. Yeah, if you like the 100% Isla, you're probably not going to like this one as much, unless you do also like the deeper, spicier, sweeter, less floral, less barley offerings. That's a tough comparison because they're like night and day to me. It's kind of like the Highland Park Light and the Highland Park Dark, I guess. It's a whole different scenario. Even more than sipping it. Yeah, I guess I've been gulping it. Who's Kyle? I guess it's Kyle Klinsky. Is that another whiskey reviewer? As an independent, I don't go to vote in the primary, so yeah, watch for the humor and silence. I hear you there, man. That's kind of like where I'm at right now for different reasons. I just enjoy watching the back and forth, and I just wish that that Klobuchar and Buttigieg kept that more of a fight, I guess, to Biden. I'm like, I just don't understand why the typical establishment vote is getting behind Biden of all the choices they had, but I don't like any of them, so we'll just keep it at that. Well, cilantro val, everybody. I appreciate you stopping by, and we'll get back together again here shortly. Might do one if I can get the time in, like on a sneaky Friday night or something, or maybe even Saturday during the day if I'm feeling spunky. Might sneak another live in if I can, but if I can't, I'm definitely going to go all in on next Tuesday as well, and have a lot of fun with you guys on the side. Checking on another bottle of the Kalila. Oh, Emily, if you got okay, cool, yeah, that sounds good. I'm all about trying definitely different. The Kalila 17 was really a surprise. The unpeated. At first, I hated it, and then I ended up liking it a little bit more and more, and now it's like the best thing ever. And I've already got down to the damn heel, so I wish I sipped a little bit of it and decanted the rest of it. Because now I know if I ever get a Kalila unpeated bottle for my palate, I gotta decant the hell out of it before I'm gonna enjoy it. It's kind of strange, but at least I know the formula for my own palate for that distillery. If you don't like this one, I'll buy back coffee. You'll cover the shipping. I hear you, man. That's no problem. Hey, it's hard for me to not like a whiskey unless it's like the Offenberg, which was horrible, or Gervine grain stuff. Not a grain fan. So if it's grain whiskey, not gonna like it, no matter what kind of fluff you put on top of it. It's just not gonna shine. And I'm like that with a lot of corn-based whiskey. Minus, I've had a couple that I like the Taylor Bottled and Bond was really good, and some of the Midsummer Night's Dram, like some of the ryes and stuff. But just basic corn bourbon, man, just this is too sweet, I guess, or something. I don't know. Okay, if you're not wowed by this, I'm sure I will be, because that Kalila 17 is no joke. All right, I better shut it off for you guys talking me into going all night again, and I do have to work tomorrow, so there you go. I mean, sub $200 wow, not crazy wows. No, that's cool. My review this week is an independent Kalila. I'll check it out, Swami. I need to do more independent versions because even though the distillery does have good stuff, the 12 is good, 18, of course, the unpeated. But I have heard that the independent, like the Signatory's a good one, and some other independent bottlings might have to try it out. But there's just so many distillery versions that are available. It's hard to not just stick with those. But we'll be all right. Okay. Gordon MacPhail. Oh, that's good. I've never been burned by Gordon MacPhail, really. I mean, I had a Strathlease, but it was only like I think it was like a 10-year or something. So I shouldn't be too bent out of shape. And I think it was like a MacPhail collection or something like that. But the Gordon MacPhail's ones I've heard are pretty good usually. So it's kind of weird that they have so many little different versions when it comes to like Gordon MacPhail. And there's MacPhail collection. I've seen other ones that are uh, differently worded. I'm not quite sure why it is. We'll talk about that on the next show. All right, guys. I'll see you next time, and have a good one. And thanks for stopping by.